Hello, everyone. Agent of Doubt here, and for today's ramble, I want to ask the question: why doesn't Steve Shives just quit? As an extension of his own logic. And if you think the title was clickbaity, well, the secondary titles were things like Steve Shives is actually a bigot, or Steve Shives is actually sexist, or actually racist. And I thought those were even more clickbaity, so by the end of this video, you'll understand the title and that it's as least clickbaity as I could have gone. So, I'm responding to Steve Shives' video, Will You Yield? The Off Monday Ramble, episode 55, in which Steve Shives argues that there are places where white people should not speak up, even if they see something that offends them, that's racist against them or sexist against them. Cis people shouldn't talk in a trans safe space at all if they hear something that's against cis people, and it's in defense of these safe spaces so that only those people who are represented by that safe space belong talking there. So egalitarianism. It means that you're for equal rights for everyone, but if you're from a sexist or racist perspective, when you see the word egalitarianism, you probably think that it means that that person actually represents the other side. If you're a feminist, you think, oh, that's a misogynist. He's just hiding behind egalitarianism. And if you're a men's rights activist, you see egalitarian, you say, oh, that feminist is just, hiding behind some big words, but they're really just sexist against men. That's the way this works here. And that's the feeling that you could get from watching this, is that Steve Shives doesn't believe in egalitarianism, that, people should be seen as equals, even at their most painful points. We shouldn't devolve into, oh, well, you're not like me, so you can't help me. We should always have this idea in our heads that we're all human beings on an equal level and, accept help from people regardless of what their gender, race, or religion is. Yeah. So Steve Shives says that if a white person hears something that is offensive to him coming from somebody at a safe space, he shouldn't speak out against it right there. He should say it later. And as a counselor who's counseled many people, I would say that goes against any semblance of trying to work towards a solution and really get to the root of pain. I would call it ignoring the pink elephant in the room. Okay? If you do that, you're just fostering more pain. I'm not ever speaking to somebody in the safest of places that I speak to them as a counselor. Like when I'm doing a one-on-one session with someone, I'm not ever speaking to them as the white person, or I the great cis person, I the great white person, I the great white old guy, I'm speaking to them as a human being who's trying to be understanding. And I have counseled so many people through, revelations of the deepest, darkest pains that they feel, okay? I've counseled black people who feel like they're oppressed at every turn, and that's why they turned to drugs, and that's why they ended up in front of me. I have counseled a pregnant woman to put the crack pipe down through empathy and understanding. And did I have to be pregnant myself to be able to understand what she was going through? No. Okay? You don't have to be any sort of demographic that you're trying to understand in order to come to an understanding. And if you think that you need to be a certain race or a certain gender or a certain subculture in order to understand, then you yourself are racist. Because you don't believe that as a human being you can have the ability to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and think for a while. because your genes are determining exactly how you think. All right? And if you don't realize that, you missed the egalitarian thing. You're not the egalitarian. You're one of those, special interests groups that just misses the point on that. By being quiet and not addressing issues as they come up, like say at a safe space or at a Black Lives Matter rally or even in a support group, where people are meeting and talking about their pain. If you're not addressing the issues as they come up when somebody says something that is wrong and is bigoted or racist or something, you're not being a counseling or supportive person, and what you're actually doing is you're fostering pain and hatred, okay? And you might call it empowering to let them speak, but I would call it commiserating, okay? Just for example, and I know that people are tired of hearing about Nazis in arguments, but do you think that Aryan town halls in Germany a century ago didn't need a Jew or two to speak up and say, hey, that's not right that you think that about us. Can we talk about this right now? Because, you don't think that those town halls the Aryans had, before Hitler came to power, you don't think that they were just like what you're talking about, these safe spaces? Because they were. They were harboring all sorts of isms, and they were thinking that they were the underprivileged class and the Jews were controlling all the money, and look what happened, This is what you're advocating for, Steve. Why don't we find people within a subgroup to talk for us all the time? Why do you think it's better that we should go find a black person to speak for us about black issues and find a gay person to speak for us on gay issues? Why do you think that that's the thing to do? Because what I think is, if you're actually coming from a point of view of trying to understand people and you achieve a modicum of understanding, you're going to be welcome when you try to help. Okay? Your help will be received well when you understand. And if you only understand that black people need to talk about black issues and women need to talk about women's issues, then you are the opposite of an egalitarian, and that's all those other isms and ists put together. So I was left at the end of that video wondering, why doesn't Steve Shives just quit? If he doesn't have the confidence in the human intellect to be able to have empathy for other people such that you can speak about their issues at their deepest, darkest moments and really understand other people, why doesn't Steve Shives just quit making videos about all of these social issues? Because it's pointless. If you can't understand someone enough to be welcome when they need you, when they are in pain, then everyone should just go into their little subgroups. Steve Shives is a segregationist in this way. Everyone should just split up amongst who they feel like they identify as, and no one should ever try to understand someone because it's pointless. Because according to Steve Shives, the people who should speak to those people in their most pained moments are people just like them. No one else. No one else should even attempt it. Why attempt it? Because you're not welcome with your attempt in Steve Shives' eyes. He ends his video by pimping a show called No Old White Guys. Okay? Who's being exclusionary there? With just the title of that show that he's pimping. Right? No Old White Guys. There's somebody being excluded, and they're being excluded by the show, right? And Steve says, oh, this is the greatest thing. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, it is. It's racism. I'll call it what it is. It's ageism. And he thinks that's okay. That's okay to be that. The title of the show isn't Variety. It isn't Equal for Everyone. It's No Old White Guys. Why doesn't Steve Shives just quit if he thinks that old white guys can't come to an understanding? And how ironic is it that, he's the old white guy that is talking about it. He's kind of middle-aged, but, and then he's pimping out a show that's also, a middle-aged white guy. I believe that in any situation, you should be able to put aside your differences of all these things that are culture and race and sex and age and gender and all that, and just talk to a person as a human being. Okay? Start from there, because pain is universal. Okay? Everyone can understand pain. Everyone has a chance to set things right. And if you don't believe that, you should just quit.